Hello there, thanks for joining me this Monday on 7Edition. I'm Muhammed Ahmad Hamdan and these are tonight's headlines. Free tertiary education by 2022, says Education Minister. Former PAS Deputy President to face multiple charges tomorrow. And Hong Kong leader apologizes for mosque spraying accident amid violence. We begin the bulletin with this story. Free tertiary education pledged by the Pakatan Harapan government would be fulfilled within the next 3 years. Speaking at the Dewan Rakyat, Education Minister Dr. Mazli Malik said a mechanism is being worked out to study its implementation.
Memang tidak dikenakan bayaran yuran kepada anak-anak sekolah, dan itu di percuma yang dibincangkan secara pendidikan percuma ialah di peringkat universiti, yang mana di samping subsidi yang diberikan oleh kerajaan tetapi masih terdapat yuran yang minimal masih lagi dibayar oleh pelajar, dan ini masih lagi dalam peringkat penelitian terakhir kita untuk melihat mekanisme yang terbaik. Di waktu ini kerajaan terpaksa meletakkan prioriti terhadap pembayaran hutang yang begitu banyak ditinggalkan, dan insya-Allah dalam tempoh 2 ke 3 tahun ke hadapan kita akan cuba memastikan bahawa janji yang telah disebutkan itu akan boleh ditunaikan.
He was responding to Jempol MP Datuk Muhammad Salim Sharif, who asked the ministry to explain the government's promise of free university education in its election manifesto. Fees for Malaysian students in public universities are amongst the lowest in the world, with the government subsidising at least 16,000 ringgit per student for the duration of their studies. On a separate matter, the minister said the government's higher education savings scheme has collected 475 million ringgit in the first 9 months of this year. Based on current deposits, PTPTN would be able to give a dividend of 4% a year, which is consistent with the fund's deposits for the last 5 years. Lynas Malaysia is being told to identify a specific site to construct their permanent disposal facility, PDF, and submit the written approval from any state government for the use of the site. The government's move to impose stricter conditions to be met by the rare earth mining company for the extension of its operating license is aimed at, among others, ending the production of radioactive residue in the future.
Kemudahan cracking and leaching di luar negara hendaklah dibina dan mula beroperasi dalam tempoh 4 tahun dari tarikh sah lesen. Selepas kemudahan cracking and leaching mula beroperasi di luar negara, pemegang lesen tidak lagi dibenarkan menghasilkan residu radioaktif yang melebihi 1 becquerel per gram di lojinya di Gebeng, Kuantan. Dengan syarat ini, kerajaan hendak memastikan bahawa penghasilan residu radioaktif oleh operasi Lynas dihentikan dalam masa depan.
She also said that the PDF was aimed to ensure long-term management of water leach purification residue as opposed to waste storage previously allowed at its residue storage facility. Previously, Mastec had announced 3 conditions for Lynas to renew its license to operate its plant for 6 months. A new standard operating procedure SOP will be implemented starting next year on foreigners seeking marriage registration requirements and legal status of children. Deputy Home Minister Dr. Muhammad Aziz Jaman said the new SOP will determine the specific mechanism that the applicant should follow.
SOP berkenaan yang akan dilaksanakan bermula tahun hadapan mengandungi mekanisme permakluman kepada pemohon berkaitan sebab-sebab sesuatu permohonan kewarganegaraan itu ditolak serta tempoh pemprosesan permohonan kewarganegaraan. Dan inilah yang sebenarnya sebelum ini disuarakan oleh ahli-ahli yang berhormat, yang mana kalau boleh setiap penolakan itu perlu ada sebab-sebab dia. Manakala bagi permohonan kewarganegaraan lain di bawah perlembagaan persekutuan, fakta dan dokumen sokongan yang dikemukakan oleh setiap pemohon adalah diteliti secara case by case mengikut giliran yang sewajarnya sebelum keputusan dikeluarkan.
On the recent sale of My Card in Penang, Datuk Muhammad Aziz said his ministry views the matter seriously and that the ministry will not compromise with its officers who are found to be involved in such activities. The Parliament session today took an unexpected turn when Nibong Tebal MP Datuk Mansor Othman collapsed while debating Budget 2020. He was giving his speech when he started slurring his words before collapsing. Deputy Speaker Nga Kaw Ming ordered the debate to be suspended for 5 minutes.
Terlibat teruk saya menibatkan regulasi negeri.
Ya, Abang Muhammad.
Doktor.
Sila berikan pertolongan cemas kepada Yang Muhammad.
This was the scene when Datuk Mansor unexpectedly collapsed. He was debating the government's expenditure plan for next year when he began pausing in his speech and slurring. Then he collapsed. Subang MP Wong Chen, who was sitting next to him, grabbed him before he fell onto the ground.
Kalau ada doktor
Saya
tolong.
minta
Ada
pegawai
doktor.
perubatan sila masuk ke dalam Dewan untuk memberikan bantuan cemas kepada Yang Muhammad Nibong Tebal.
Nga then called for a 5-minute break. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail, who visited the Nibong Tebal MP, said he could have suffered a syncope attack, a temporary loss of consciousness usually related to insufficient blood flow to the brain. He was taken to the hospital for further treatment and has since regained consciousness. Former past Deputy President Datuk Nasharuddin Mat Isa will face multiple charges at the Shah Alam Sessions Court tomorrow under the Anti-Money Laundering, Anti-Terrorism Financing and Proceeds of Unlawful Activities Act. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission (MACC) said it has received the nod from the Attorney General to bring Datuk Nasharuddin to court tomorrow. In a statement this evening, the MACC said the former PAS number 2 will also be charged under the Penal Code. Datuk Nasharuddin was detained at 2 p.m. today at the MACC headquarters in Putrajaya after he showed up to complete the final lap of a probe before being released later in the day. The MACC will reveal the details of the case in court tomorrow. The 5 men, including 2 DAP assemblymen, today filed a habeas corpus application seeking their release from detention under the Security Offences Special Measures Act, or SOSMA, over their alleged links to the now-defunct Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam LTTE. Now, habeas corpus is an order to bring a detainee before a judge or court to find out if that person should really be in jail. Lawyer and chairman of DAP's Legal Bureau, Ram Karpal Singh, who is leading the legal team, said the applications were filed in the Kuala Lumpur High Court.
But there's no indication of them being released. So that's why it's necessary for this application to be heard as soon as possible. Because we are confident of our chances in succeeding in the applications.
Seremban Jaya Assemblyman M. Gunasegaran and Gadik Assemblyman G. Saminathan were among 5 people who were arrested in a recent crackdown on supporters of LTTE, accused of trying to revive the group. Since October 12, the number of LTTE suspects detained is 12. Ram Karpal said that today's applications could become academic if police freed them before the 28 detention without trial period. A married couple in Kelantan is facing up to 15 years in jail for smuggling 20 illegal immigrants from Myanmar last month. They both pleaded not guilty in the Kota Baru Sessions Court today. At the same time, a 56-year-old bus driver who was also charged for failing to ensure that 6 of those Myanmar immigrants had valid travel documents. Mahusin Sulaiman, aged 48, and his wife, 38-year-old Mahfuz Ahmad Isa, allegedly committed the offence at her house in Ketere and were charged under the Anti-Trafficking and Anti-Smuggling Act. Meanwhile, the bus driver Zulkifli Hussain, as well as another man still at large, allegedly failed to check for valid travel documents when 6 of the Myanmar nationals went on board a transnational express bus at the Ketere bus station last month. The accused faces a fine of up to 250,000 ringgit or a jail term of up to 5 years or both if convicted. The court denied bail and set November 21st for mention of both cases. In other news, a Felda officer was charged in the Shah Alam Sessions Court with 4 counts of cheating involving cheques amounting to 14,788 ringgit. Abdul Manap Siddiq, an officer of Felda Sungai Tengi, Hulu Selangor, pleaded not guilty to concealing the payment of cheques, supposedly for an individual and a company, into his own bank account. He faces imprisonment of up to 5 years and a fine upon conviction. The court set bail at 10,000 ringgit in one surety, pending remention of the case on November 26. A 20-year-old security guard was arrested last night over the killing of a pygmy elephant in a plantation in Baluran district, Sabah. On Saturday, a dead elephant was found with 5 gunshot wounds and tusks removed at Ladang Bimbingan 2. Rangers have seized the estate's entry logbook to screen the people who have entered the area and have also recorded the estate manager's statement. Coming up next, suspect in viral parking rage video nabbed by police. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Foreign Front. Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam apologized on Monday after police hit a major mosque with water cannon as they battled protesters during another day of political unrest in the Asian financial hub. The entrance to the Kowloon Mosque was sprayed by a water cannon truck on Sunday, causing anger among both local Muslims and protesters. Police released a statement on Sunday saying the mosque was hit by mistake and that they respect religious freedom and will strive to protect all places of worship. Mosque representatives told reporters the apology had been accepted, and they also thanked worshippers and Hong Kongers who flocked to clean the mosque soon after the incident. Video footage shot Sunday showed the truck pulling up outside the building, then spraying around half a dozen journalists and bystanders who were gathered on the street outside. The group, who did not appear to be protesters, was struck twice, with much of the bright blue jet painting the mosque's entrance and steps. The original Kowloon Mosque was built in the late 19th century to cater for Muslim soldiers from British-ruled India. Rebuilt in the early 1980s, it remains a center of Hong Kong's 300,000-strong Muslim community. In the U.S., 65,000 people were plunged into darkness as a tornado and several violent thunderstorms barreled through North Dallas on Sunday night. The severe storms, featuring wind speeds of about 112 kilometers per hour, lightning and golf ball-sized hail, left homes and businesses ravaged to ruins and forced residents into shelters. City authorities received no reports on fatalities or serious injuries, but first responders went for a door-to-door search overnight for survivors and people who may have been trapped after the monstrous storm. However, according to local media, the city's emergency officials said 6 people suffered non-life-threatening injuries from the tornado. The area is home to former U.S. President George W. Bush and First Lady Laura Bush, who were reportedly not harmed in the storm. The city tweeted 6 schools across the Dallas Independent School District cancelled classes Monday due to the extensive damage numerous campuses sustained from the storm. Dallas officials urge residents to stay indoors if they are in an area with storm damage due to downed trees, power lines and debris. According to electric company Encore, there is no known time for power restoration in the Dallas metro area. The general departure and arrival delays were also reported by 2 airports in the city. National Weather Service in Fort Worth said a number of severe storm warnings remain in effect throughout the metro area as thunderstorms move east-southeast. At least 30 people were killed in a packed bus that skidded off the road and burst into flames near Congo's capital, Kinshasa, on Sunday. According to authorities, 18 others suffered third-degree burns, and the work of identifying the bodies is in progress. In the 1 a.m. accident, the bus, packed with people and goods, was traveling from Lufu to Kinshasa when its brakes failed and the driver lost control. One of the injured passengers said there were more than 100 people aboard the vehicle and many bodies were burned beyond recognition. The road where the incident occurred is known to be notorious for deadly accidents. And now let's hop on to Clickbait, where we take a look at what's trending and making the rounds in the cyber world today. Yesterday, a man attacked a Nepali security guard with a golf club at KL Trader Square in Jalan Gombak, Kuala Lumpur, after the latter clammed his car. Why was he clammed in the first place? Well, because the suspect parked his car in an OKU spot, which is clearly only for disabled drivers. Now, police have arrested a 24-year-old where preliminary investigations show that the man has a past history of drug offense. Here's the full story. The security guard was doing his rounds at about 4:30 p.m. when he saw a Honda Jazz car parked at the disabled parking spot and quickly clammed the vehicle. 30 minutes later, the suspect, along with another man, approached him and asked to remove the clamp. But the guard refused, urging the suspect to first settle the fine at the management office. That's when the man took out a golf club from the car's bonnet. After blatantly attempting to break the clamp with the tool, the suspect repeatedly battered the guard. The other man tried to stop the brutal assault, but only after the guard was left heavily bleeding on his ear and right arm. The roughly 1-minute video of the whole ordeal went viral across several social media platforms. The case is being investigated under the Penal Code for causing hurt by dangerous weapons or means. When we return, a growing demand for drone services. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Homegrown drone services firm Aerodyne Group, which is exploring an initial public offering, has secured an order book of about 1 billion ringgit. Its CEO, Kamarul Zaman Muhammad, said this was backed by growing demand for such services globally, despite the challenging trade environment.
So kita sebenarnya usually kita work with big corporate client. So it's not about the numbers lah, it's the quality of those clients lah. So contohnya kalau dekat Malaysia, klien kita macam Petronas, macam TMV, macam MRCB, those are the big name. Kalau power line dekat luar negara pun big names, you know, macam kalau dekat South America, Saisa, Transelect, Enel.
We also have government drones.
Kamarul Zaman said the company aims to be listed on the stock exchange either locally or abroad in 3 years' time to expand its business. To date, Aerodyne Group has provided drone solutions to hundreds of companies from 25 countries, such as Japan, Australia, the US, and the Middle East. It was reported that the world's drone industry value is expected to touch $1 billion this year before hitting $25 billion in 2027. Now, Malaysia is committed to strengthen trade ties with ASEAN countries in a bid to cushion the impact of the ongoing dispute between the US and China. Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said the move is crucial in ensuring that the trade environment remains conducive for businesses in the region.
We can hope for the best and prepare for the worst, by working with our ASEAN neighbors to cushion the impact of superpower collisions. We have to enhance our collaboration. This means building capacity by developing our competitiveness. We must also develop our own world-class companies that can take on all rivals.
Tun Dr. Mahathir said this in his keynote address at the Institute of Strategic and International Studies Praxis Conference, Malaysia Beyond 2020 in Kuala Lumpur this morning. He stressed the importance of Malaysia to develop its own world-class companies that can take on all rivals and ride out the storm in difficult times. Now, Bursa Malaysia bucked the regional trend to finish in the red today as investors await for more catalysts for investment direction. The FBM KLCI lost 0.2 points to 1,571 points after the Prime Minister warned that exports relying on Malaysia could be hit with trade sanctions. Onto stocks to watch. Econ Pile Holdings Berhad is facing weak prospects in property-related job wins due to the acute oversupply situation in the sector. This bodes ill for its overvalued stock following the euphoria sparked by the recent revival of the ECRL and Bandar Malaysia projects. Next, DG.com Berhad, which has reached a fair value, is expected to see lower service revenue and overall profit this year. The firm's forward dividend yields of between 4 and 4.3% are not attractive enough to warrant an entry amid shrinking prepaid segment. And last but not least, Axis REIT has proposed to acquire a piece of industrial land located within the Pelabuhan Tanjung Pelepas PTP Free Trade Zone in Johor. The acquisition is deemed yield accretive, while the property will have a fixed tenant under a long-term lease of 10 years, which further minimizes the risk to Axis REIT.